Chris Smith is here. He is one of the stars of Paranormal Activity 3. This movie, good morning.
Good morning.
This movie just smashed box office records. The three of them, like when it first came out, it was like $5 million they made it for, and it's made $200 million or something worldwide.
Yeah, pretty nice profit margin, right?
That's not bad.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the Blair Witch model, isn't it?
I guess the home video style was sort of the Blair Witch model.
Yeah.
And I guess they made that for really cheap as well.
Right.
But I think, this is definitely sort of a unique
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't
swing.
stand on its own.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying to Chris just as we were leading up, I said I haven't seen any of them
Right.
because they would scare the wits out of me, and I know it would stick in my head, so I haven't seen them. But what is it about this like the horror genre? People just love to be scared, but
Yeah.
this particular one, something about this is really engaging people.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. I think a lot of people were scared by this film. I think
Yeah.
the Paranormal Activity franchise does a really good job at scaring people with very little
Special effects and stuff.
very little special effects, and while sort of in these characters are in the comfort of their home,
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
feel
Right.
the most
Yeah.
safe.
Right.
Invades the sanctity of the home.
Exactly.
It's very voyeuristic too. How
You're
was
like,
that shooting?
yeah.
Because you had a camera a lot of the time. Did they actually use that footage, or?
Yes, they did. We used a lot of the footage that I would. I didn't get my guild card. I didn't get in the union for all the camera work I did. I tried to, but they wouldn't let me. But it was interesting. They fashioned a camera out of an old VHS camcorder, and they put sort of a modern HD camera in this camcorder so that I could go around the house and sort of, if I caught myself in the mirror, you could see me. And
So how was that to sort of be the act, and then also act as the videographer?
it was hard. It was difficult, especially the director of photography was a real sort of.
Taskmaster.
She was a real taskmaster. She was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just looking at, they were just running some B-roll from the film. As you were talking, I was glancing up and I thought, that's it. It just looks so
I know, I
like
couldn't even
everyone's
look at it.
daily life.
I know.
like-
It's creepy.
It
Don't you
just
think it's
completely
harder to
freaks you
scare
out.
people today than it was 20 years ago?
I think
People are desensitized a bit. So the fact that you've got a film that really puts people back on their heels,
there's
Says a lot.
things that definitely people are desensitized to,
Yeah.
like violence and blood and gore.
Right.
I think what this movie does very cleverly is it avoids all that, and it just plays with tension and expectation.
what movie scares you the most?
Movie scared. I was really freaked out at Poltergeist
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
younger.
Poltergeist is scary.
That was pretty scary, and The Exorcist.
Yeah.
It's a little too.
It's all about those things you can't see, and that's actually with the film what you were saying, or
Right.
what we were saying about. It's things that you imagine and you don't actually see. That's like a very Hitchcock way of making films. Like,
Yeah.
whether it was Psycho or whatever, you're not actually seeing
No.
a lot of the violence or a lot of what's going on. It's what happens in your head.
So
what
true.
you
Set
create.
it up and let your imagination finish the scene.
Yeah.
And you'll freak yourself out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you feel that way when you were filming? Like, this is good, especially the scenes with the girls.
The scary scenes in the movie were, when we shot them, weren't scary at all for us. I mean, they walked us through it. We knew what was going on, and a lot of the tension is built on sort of, these sort of muted, quiet walks down the hallway or something. Which, if you're on the other side of the camera, which I was for a lot of it, is just sort of boring.
Walk down the hallway.
Sort of, no,
Are you, or before getting into these films, so were you the type to like turn off the lights and then run into bed, or were you scared? Were you
when
a
I
bit
was
of
a
scaredy
kid.
cat?
Yeah, I
When you were a
mean,
kid, not anymore?
I was just like anybody. I was an imaginative kid.
Yeah.
And sometimes late at night, if you can't sleep or something, you start thinking the worst thoughts. And so I was definitely the kid who, and I did have the light switch at the foot of the staircase in my basement, which it's like, why would I do that?
No. To go down.
Have you ever seen anything? Have you ever personally seen anything you couldn't rationally explain away?
Have I personally?
Yeah.
No.
Me
But
neither.
the-
And I'm waiting for
Me
it.
too. Me too.
Where is it?
But I'm also sort of the type that is not too interested in exploring odd noises. I mean, if I hear a
Right.
noise and I'm sleeping now,
Yeah.
I just sort of roll
That'll
over
go
and go back to
away.
sleep.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, you'll survive every horror movie because
Yeah.
it's the people that go, let me go down to the dark basement.
I think so. I don't think anybody would watch the horror movie that I personally would be the star of because I wouldn't be exploring all the strange noises. I'd just be
It'll be a short
sort
film.
of,
We'll
That's
deal with
not
it.
a good idea to go.
8 hours.
Speaking of other movies, you have a movie coming up called The Reluctant Fundamentalist with Kate Hudson and Kiefer Sutherland?
Yes, that's correct,
What's that
yeah.
about?
It's sort of a political thriller drama, and it's a Mira Nair film. She's the director, and we shot it. It was an independent production, and it was real good material. And we shot it in Atlanta and New York, and then they went over to Turkey and Pakistan, and it was sort of an international affair. But it's a great film, and I think it's coming out in 2013, I think.
Okay. That's a big cast.
Yeah, it was a good cast. It was. I think Mira she's sort of like this director. I think a lot of people have wanted to work with. I know I have, and she's just terrific. And yeah, and so I think she sort of collects fine actors who just
Nice.
come to
Want to be part of
work
that
with her.
collection?
Exactly.
Why
yeah,
not?
yeah.
Paranormal Activity 3 is released on DVD and Blu-ray and on demand as well, January 24th, 2012, and there's the director's cut and all
Yep.
that sort of thing involved
Bonus
in that.
footage, a lot of fun stuff in there.
Great. Chris, super to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming by. Chris Smith, he's one of the stars of Paranormal Activity 3. We'll be back in just a moment.